Sweet, so that guy's cut off there, and next I just need to get those things I talked about off of around here, and then we can pull that shaft out and get that changed and get our clutch cover back on here. Alright, so I'm going to start my repair on the clutch basket, the shifter, but you got to remove the clutch basket, the oil slinger. I've got my special Honda tool here. You can get this, there's a number on it there, but you can get this on Amazon. It's to take the keys out, the keyways. But I'll get these two screws out, these bolts, this is just a spacer, and we'll work on getting the clutch basket off. Alright, so I got the engine down on the ground here. I got the 4 clutch bolts out and the keeper bolt. Use my little tool there. It's two-sided. You should only need the one side. Took that, yeah, the keeper nut off the middle, and then I took these 3 screws out and took the keeper nut off there. Make sure you have the right size fill up, so you'll strip those out. It looks like I used a PH2 and I loaded it into a ratchet, and I put like all my pressure down as I turn because they'll strip out. Yep, and then once you got that off, this will just slide off, this will just slide off, and then you'll be able to get access to this. Alright, got everything off, got the shaft out, just pulled it out. There's the new one, there's the old one next to it. See, obviously it's shorter because I cut it off. But we just need to transfer this spring and this lock thing over. We can slide it in, then we can start putting everything back together. Alright, got the new shaft loaded in, got the spring, the keeper pin, this pin. Spin the transmission, it's kind of stiff, but should be able to shift it by hand. There it went. So you can see that plate pushes on there. The roller is what locks it into each gear, and you actually have to spin the transmission because it's not connected to the crank at the moment. Or if you had a lever on there, you could do that, but I don't have a lever. It's actually in the mail still. But you would be able to test this if you wanted. I guess I could spin the sprocket, right, and then it's gonna change the ratios. Anyways, you should be able to shift through everything if you were able to, but now I just need to put everything back. Alright, so we're getting ready to put our cover back on. I gotta clean everything up for the gasket. I got my gaskets right here, got some RTV, and then I've got all my on eBay you can order. This guy sells every bolt for pretty much the engine, and you get them in stainless steel Allen head. Definitely worth the 29 bucks, and all of his pieces, all of his bolts come in pre-packaged and labeled. So what I usually do, knowing I'm going to buy this, I'll just throw most of the bolts in a bag, and then these are all pre-sorted for me, ready to go. I can still use the old bolts, but it's worth it. This was missing a couple bolts in places anyways, so definitely worth putting it back together that way. But let me go ahead and get going on that, and then check back in. Alright, I got most of the parts in. I'm going to continue putting the motor back together. I'm not going to film the whole thing because I have some other videos on my channel that show this whole process. So we're just going to get this put back together, and then we'll start on the frame and getting the motor back in the frame.
Look how sweet.
Boom. Alright, so I got the frame all power washed and most of the things stripped off of it. I haven't taken the airbox off because you have to take the shock out and it's just too much of a pain. But next on that is I'm going to wire wheel it, and then we got some white automotive paint. We'll touch up all the rust spots, and then the engine is done. Everything's done on it. I have some videos on my page where I rebuilt one of these, so if you have any questions about any of those stuff, I didn't bother re-recording all that because it would just be double of what I've already got, but it's basically ready to drop in. I filled it with oil. I ran it over with a drill, let it crank till the oil got to the top, so like it's all primed and ready to go. We're gonna paint that and then drop that in, and then figure out what little bits we're missing, and I'll probably pull from this bike, get one complete bike, and then that bike will be the more challenging one, I think, because it's gonna need a lot of extra parts, that little parts I'm gonna have to track down. But that's where we're at. I'll probably check back in after we got that painted before we drop the motor in, and then we're moving right along. Alright, we're super close to being done here. I've got most of the parts on, a few more left to install. I've got my throttle tube needs to go on, clutch is already hooked up. I gotta hook up a kill switch And I have the new upholstery to do the seat that just came in today. It's in that bag right there. But we need to put the carburetor on, hook the throttle cable up, and then I technically can start the bike, which is super awesome. And I need to hook the chain up. I have a new chain and sprockets, but I'm super eager to fire the bike up for the first time, because then I can make sure that I did everything correct with the engine. So yeah, I'm just gonna get that carburetor in, throttle cable hooked up, grips on, that kind of thing, just through like an empty spot right here. But then we'll really be able to tell if the if I did everything right with the engine. Hopefully it doesn't smoke like crazy or make clunky sounds. And then once I get it started, I need to like immediately change the oil, because there was obviously some sort of failure in the motor, and I didn't split the cases on it. So I know there's no like chunks in there or anything, because I could look through and see that kind of thing, but there's definitely going to be some shavings and stuff, so you just don't want to run it too, let it run, take the filter off, that kind of thing. So let's get going on that. Alright, so I've got the carburetor on, throttle cable on, kill switch wired up. I ran into a little issue with the fuel tank. The one I want to use, something's wrong with the petcock, it was leaking everywhere, so I just hooked up the red tank for the moment. It was kind of having a similar issue, but I put a new O-ring in it, and so it should hold for at least starting it up here. So I haven't tried to start it up yet. This will be the first go at that, so hopefully it works. Probably gonna smoke a lot if it does start, because there's a lot of assembly oil and stuff in it, so we'll see though. I should note, the only reason it didn't start at first was I didn't have the kill switch on. This switch I wired up is just a straight up switch, so on for it means off, which is confusing as hell. But running pretty good. Sounds pretty good. Shaft is spinning because there's just oil resistance, but I should be able to check. That's first gear. It should wind down. Pretty good though. Anyways, I'm gonna let it run here for a minute and then shut it down and get ready for oil change. Alright, so I'm going to reupholster the seat. I'm hoping it turns out pretty good. Quite a bit of foam damage on this. The other one's actually worse, so I might have to actually repair that one with some different kinds of tape underneath. But this is my leather that I bought. You can get these for, I don't know, I think they're like 30 bucks. I'll make a video. In the video, I'll make a thing where I go through the cost of everything and what it costs to fix this bike. But went with blue on this one, just a blank blue. I did that seat over there in the past, and it's the red XR200R one. But this one we're going blue. I got blue shock tubes, sleeves or whatever on this bike. Blue seat. I didn't know I was going to use the red fenders, otherwise I would have got red, but we will see how this turns out. But I guess it's with a red and blue scheme. But basically, you just want to put this over. I got a staple gun, just the Ace Hardware staple gun. Like I said, I've done these seats before. There's plenty of upholstery videos. I'm not any good at upholstering. I mean, I can do this, but I shouldn't be teaching other people how to do it. The only thing I can say is just, you know, stretch it. Don't do it somewhere where it's super cold outside. You can heat this up beforehand. Use a hair dryer if you want. Just take your time. And you're just running your staples on the backside. Goes pretty fast. And it never looks perfect, but they over time, they kind of, you know, adhere to it pretty good. I'm sure you could use different sprays and stuff to get it to stick good, but I've never had a problem with it just as it is. So maybe with different shaped seats it's more of a problem. But anyways, I'm gonna take care of this and I'll check back.